So, Murderance is over. Episode 8 came out, and I'm here to talk about it. I'm really sad to see this show go, but you know what they say, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Right off the bat, from my initial reaction, you could probably infer that I wasn't the biggest fan of the episode as a whole, and I can tell you for certain that I was a bit disappointed. I want to get my minor complaints out of the way before we talk about the good stuff. The most apparent issue is the pacing. Everything was rushed and we had very little time to process everything that was happening. I get that this is more of a part 2 to episode 7, but it didn't really go that in-depth into things like how V survived, which I would have loved to see. The episode was also baiting us with fake deaths, and the amount of times I've seen fatal error on either Uzi or N's visor in this episode is probably higher than the amount of times I've called Sleepy Star a bum. Also, tiny discrepancy here, but here's a little nitpick I had to point out. How durable are the worker drones? Like, we've seen them surviving huge explosions point blank and sometimes being able to crawl a pretty far distance before bleeding out from a fatal injury. But then you have episode 5 where James kills one with a fucking fork. This is relevant, I promise. So if you look back to episode 6, the Sentinels killed a lot of disassembly drones with barely any issue. And we know disassembly drones can regenerate and are most likely way more durable than workers. But then Lizzie, a regular worker drone, is able to survive being thrashed around by it. I get that this scene was more for the comedy, but doesn't make it seem like some things are lethal because of plot. Also, what was the point of the corpse spires? Was it for the funny glowing tentacles? Moving on. This little goober who I've been informed is named Sparky can somehow drive a bus. How? Was this critical knowledge for an anti-drone security system? Also, really minor thing here. 1, how did Uzi learn to do this? And 2, why did I half expect Uzi and Sin to clash their knolls like they're in Naruto? Okay, that's all my complaints out of the way. Keep in mind, these are minor nitpicks that don't really ruin the episode for me, just things I wanted to be elaborated on. First of all, do I even need to say anything about the animation? The fight scene especially, the team at Glitch went all out. And remember how last time I said the episode 7 fight scene looked like a DreamWorks feature film? We'll take that comparison and increase it tenfold, and that's how high quality this is. You can tell they put 110% into this, and it shows. Second, I already made a video on this earlier, but the soundtrack absolutely slaps. I mean, look at the lineup here. Eternal Destroyer, banger. You're Freaking Grounded, banger. Bite Me, banger. Falling With You, banger, and genius name too. Bravo, AJ. You'll catch me putting these songs on my Spotify and probably my Instagram note too. Comedy-wise, the episode delivered, as expected. Although they really ramped up the almost swearing for some reason. I mean, even silly eldritch abominations need to vent their frustrations, I suppose. Although, something I was mildly satisfied with, Khan actually does something, even if that something is just closing a door. I wish we got some more explanation as to what the hell was happening during the scene, but I guess only Liam knows the answer. Speaking of stuff I wish we got more of, the ending. In terms of tone, I'm glad we got a happy ending. Everyone's happy, well, almost everyone. And Uzi having funny gradient eyes are cool, along with Sin being her own like little venom symbiote. And finally got to play some rummy. V's alive and has a new little buddy that was probably the one that killed Bo. Rest in peace, you were a real one. Overall, Absolute End is a pretty good episode. Definitely not the best episode, but I think it's at least top 5, probably top 3 under episodes 7 and 3. As an ending, it fits, but it left me wanting more. So I beg the question, what can we expect from the future of Murder Drones? Well, what I'm hoping for is one of two things. A, an extended cut of the finale with added scenes like with what JJK does with the Blu-rays, or B, they do short little mini episodes similar to Hill of a Boss. That's just me hoping for the best though. Murder Drones was definitely my favorite indie animated show, and it's gonna stay that way. Sure, it never reached the popularity that Digital Circus did, but that won't change anything for me. I guess all I really can say is thank you to the team at Glitch, Liam, and all those involved in the creation of the show I hold so near and dear to my heart. I mean, there's a lot more indie animations to talk about, like at least 13 off the top of my head, and I know that there are plenty of people who would love to talk about them. On a probably unrelated note, I just hit 1,000 subs. So thanks for that. So, as always, like and subscribe if you manage to endure my yapping, because according to this incredibly scientific graph, big number equals big happy. Anyways, unless this is your first time watching me, you all know the drill by now. I've been Blooper, and thank you for watching. And when the ice sets in, I'll need you. only when we met we knew you. And then our time concluded.